first this week.
We did.
Well, personally, that's the first time I've ever been called a snowflake.
See, this is not the first time I've been called a snowflake, especially since starting the podcast. But
which I don't understand. Weren't we talking about everyone needing to not be offended?
Yeah, I mean, that was literally the point, was we should probably not get so offended by little things. But yeah, so we had a video up on YouTube. Well, we still have a video up on YouTube. I think I called it Graveyard Girls and Starbucks Drama Unpopular Opinion or something to that effect. And it was basically saying people that are dragging her for what she did kind of need to calm down and stop getting so offended by the jokes that she made and just realize that she may have said things that didn't land well, but it wasn't malicious intent. We shouldn't just attack people for that.
Yeah, we got called a snowflake for that. I need to grow a pair.
Yeah, basically about us, it said, this particular video illustrates snowflake perfectly. Isn't that right, dear? In quotes, because Tyler said that as a joke in the video.
Yeah, it was very much being sarcastic, and I don't know how he did not pick up on that.
I don't know.
Honestly. Like, is he slow?
Okay, let's be nice.
He wasn't very nice.
No, he was not. But it says, you needed your boyfriend to agree with you. His only role in the video. He should grow a pair. His appearance was cringeworthy and Rose was ill-informed. So, I mean, I don't think he quite understood this was a video from our podcast, so we're in everything together. So that's partly, give him slack for that. But just the nastiness of the comment, it just amazes me.
Unnecessary.
Right.
Just wholly unnecessary, and just why?
Hilarious, though, and also hilarious that I'm pretty sure he deleted it because I can't find it anymore.
Yeah, because he really is a snowflake.
Right, because one of our lovely podcast friends, Richard from Learn Me Something podcast, had some choice words for him, which was hilarious, and thank you very much for that. And if you guys haven't listened to his podcast, he's pretty funny, so you probably should.
Made my day when I read the return comments.
Did?
Yeah. Kind of.
See,
kind of
this
made me
made your day.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we wanted to give you a quick update. So if you haven't seen that video and you'd like to find out if we are snowflakes, that is up on our YouTube channel, so you can go check that out. So probably should get into the movie. So
before we do that, I'm Tyler.
I'm Shay.
This is Cinematically Correct. Now, the movie this week was interesting. The movie is...
It was not called Interesting.
No, it was not called Interesting. The movie itself is called Thoroughbreds. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's... I guess about a bunch of rich, entitled kids from Connecticut.
So, So, Lily is rich, and Amanda is, middle of the road.
It's pretty upper middle class.
Why would you say it? Just because she had a horse?
No, because, she had a horse, and that house was very nice, even though it wasn't a palace like the other house, but it was still a nicer house than I grew up in.
She was upper middle class. That's part of the point of the movie.
Right.
But anyways, so it's about the two of them having a very strange relationship, kind of forced, but also they obviously were friends earlier in life.
In the past, and then...
They rode together, it seems. So I'm not really sure. Very strange relationship, but it's about them kind of figuring out how to be friends with their differences and then basically plotting a murder together.
Yeah. Basically, that's the movie.
Yeah, that's a synopsis of the movie.
And then they're apparently still friends after the end of that movie, because I don't understand.
Yeah, very confusing. So, this movie was directed by Corey Finley. It's his directorial debut, and it is probably one of the strangest movies I've seen. Not in a bad way.
No, it was strange in a lot of ways. It was kind of interesting soundtrack in the background.
I loved the soundtrack.
It was very good at putting you on edge and making you feel like there was tension and that there's something ominous was going to happen, even if it was just an ordinary scene.
Right. I mean, there was a part in the beginning of the movie where Amanda is eating while talking, and they turned up the sound for her eating, so it was amplified above Lily talking.
Yeah.
And it was just unsettling. It was just, it reminded me of ASMR videos or something like that, but just but in a not calming way. It was very unsettling.
Yes.
And very ooh.
And they had a great use of drums, great use of orchestral instruments in the background to just make you uncomfortable. That's the only way I can describe it, is I was uncomfortable or on edge for the majority of this movie.
But the weird part was, though, the parts that I was on edge weren't the action scenes. It was when they were walking through the house or when they were just sitting talking, or like it wasn't like when something big was happening. Those scenes were more quiet. But the walking around and doing that, they like really put you on edge, which was strange for me because usually that's like sounds like that signify something is about to happen.
Right. I was impressed with that because I got a old school horror thriller movie vibe from this.
Like Hitchcock?
Like Hitchcock. Because it's all about what you're not seeing that is causing the discomfort.
Right.
So you don't see any of the normal scenes in a movie that's a thriller that has some of the scenes that they're supposed to have. There's no violence, there's no real blood or anything like that in the movie.
Well, there's blood, but right, there's not. You don't see anything happen on screen, really.
Right.
And I mean, I think that also adds to the fact that the crux of this, the reason that it's so unsettling, is because you're dealing with two characters who have very different personalities and not knowing what those personalities are gonna end up doing. So Amanda is a self-proclaimed sociopath, basically. She says she has no emotions and she has no ability to like feel things or attach to people or anything like that.
And she's faked it her whole life.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Lily she comes across as like a mean girl. Like, you know, you think of from like
well, I took it as just she's that stereotypical rich entitled person that has never had to do anything in her life, and it's just been like she's sat on her pedestal and judged other people her whole life. So that's just who she is.
Right. Which is strange because the movie starts with her tutoring Amanda, I think for the SATs. I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure what she was tutoring for. But, and you at first think that she's doing it out of charity. And then you find out she was getting paid quite a bit of money. But then she does do it again for no money. And it becomes like a, well, why? Like, what's going on? And I don't think that's really answered. I mean, basically, it almost seems like she's doing it to further her own self-interest of trying to get this murder accomplished before the plan is even hatched.
Well, they don't have a whole lot of the background there. It's really more, just wasn't a lot of background in general for their relationship. I was kind of lost as to why they were hanging out at all, other than being paid and then not being paid and then...
Well, they were friends in the past because in school you see a scene where everybody is talking to Lily and they were talking about the horse incident, which I don't think we've mentioned, but basically Amanda killed her horse and you don't find out until later in the movie why she did it, so it's kind of like they paint it as she like murdered her horse for no apparent reason in this gruesome manner. And at this point in the movie, the kids are talking and they said, you know, God, did you hear about the horse? And she says, yeah. And they were like, oh, I thought it would bother you because you guys used to be friends.
Right.
So obviously there's some past relationship. I don't know if there was a falling out. I mean, given that Amanda has said she's faked her emotions her whole life, I can't imagine that it has to do with that part of her life because she seems to have always been the same. So I'm not really sure what the falling out was or why they stopped being friends. I don't really...
I mean, the only thing that I can think of is Lily's father died at some point in the past, and we don't really know more about that, but that seems to have changed her trajectory. That's when she got kicked out of school, and all of that started changing. So I'm guessing that was the primary reason for their change. It's a big life event.
Now, do you think she killed her father?
I don't think she would kill her father. I mean...
Well, so the reason I ask is because a lot of the movie is focused on how much she lies. And so you see that her parents want her to go to a school for people who have... children who have behavioral issues. And she's shocked and appalled and whatever. But by the end of the movie, you're kind of like, okay, I can kind of see it. Like, she might have behavioral issues. So... But she lied about literally everything she said, and it makes me question what exactly happened to her father, because they're kind of vague, they're very weird about it, and it just seems like
I would like to give her the benefit of the doubt on that. I mean, I'm not someone who murders people, despite your dreams.
Okay, I had one dream where you were murdering people. It was after watching this movie and also after having an unboxing video that I had to edit where you were playing with a knife and saying you would kill me and the body would not be found.
Well, yeah, I was being sarcastic.
Okay, but I had to edit it and I had to hear it like 17 times, so.
Anyway, I still would give her the benefit of the doubt. She kills her stepfather, spoilers, because he's ruining her life and cutting her off after she's 18 and after she goes to this military behavior adjusting boarding school.
Military.
Well, it's a school for problem children. But then after she's done with that, he's cutting her off. And
well, right, but so why is she going to a school for problem children? Because at the point that they say that, we don't see that she's done anything.
Well, she got kicked out of the other private school.
We don't know why. All we know is maybe plagiarism. Based
off her letter, it was probably plagiarism, but we don't really know.
And her excuse for the plagiarism was, my dad died, so I was sad.
Yeah, I mean that's a valid reason to cheat and do anything, really. I mean, murder, theft, all of that, arson.
Yeah, I mean, just do it all. I mean, whatever. You're sad, so
yeah, exactly.
The world understands.
That's my point.
So at first, when I first was watching this, I thought that they were painting them as polar opposites. They were painting Amanda as someone who was emotionless and attachment-free, and Lily as someone who felt everything and, like, was trying really hard to create a bond and, you know, like, feel that attachment that she couldn't feel to her father because he was gone. That's kind of what I thought at the beginning. I don't so much feel that way anymore just because...
Well, I felt the same way at the start of the movie, that they were very much different. But at the end of the movie, it came down to really who is the true monster.
Right. So this movie starts getting you into the question of, you know, I guess sociopath versus psychopath, but also really just what's more dangerous. Like, is it more dangerous for a person to be outwardly numb and unable to connect, or is it more dangerous for someone to be, you know, like was it Jeffrey Dahmer or whatever it is, the cunning,
the Ted Bundy, the charming, charismatic person that fits in,
right,
but is a monster.
Right. So, but the question also becomes, did Lily become a monster because of her friendship with Amanda? Or,
no, she was always a monster.
That's okay. So one of the things I read, I think I read it on Reddit, was that Lily became friends with Amanda because she had the inkling, I guess, to kill, but didn't have the capacity, where Lily had the capacity, but not like the ways to do it. The you know, the emotionless, attachmentless connection to be able to kill someone. And when Lily realized that Amanda was able to do that to her horse, she was like, okay, she can help me do this, but she's not going to be able to do it herself because she doesn't have that capacity.
See, I would take it even further. I would say that she had planned out framing her for the whole thing from the start.
Probably.
I think that so Amanda, the girl with no emotions, you know where you stand. She's upfront about being someone that can't connect, can't feel emotion, so forth. That's different than someone that is knowingly pulling the strings and playing the motion cards well. So I think Lily, the one that is hiding who she is way more dangerous. I know personally I'm terrible at reading people.
You think?
Wow. You're supposed to say, no, you're not that bad, or at least nothing? No?
No, I got nothing to say there.
All right. Well, anyway, I would just like to know where I stand with a person and be able to make my decisions based off of knowing who they are.
Right. But I mean, I'm wondering if it's a larger commentary on mental health type thing. Like, I mean, everyone thinks that a sociopath is the worst type of person because they don't connect, so they're able to do things that are awful. But I mean, you learn later in the film that the reason that she killed her horse was because her horse hurt his leg, broke its leg.
Which for a horse is a big deal.
Right. And her mom wouldn't allow her to put it down, so she took it upon herself to put the horse down. It wasn't in the best manner, it sounds like.
Well, she had tried to drug him and put him to sleep humanely initially. She just also brought supplies to finish the job if things didn't go well. So she's prepared, like a Boy Scout.
Right. And so that comes across at the beginning as unnerving, but you kind of learn it and you're like, okay, I can understand why she did what she did. And she also obviously has an attachment to Lily because Lily almost drowns and she saves her.
Which I didn't understand at all, because if you're a sociopath, you don't have connections to people, you don't feel emotions like guilt.
Well, so I think that's what this is kind of challenging, is our perception of what a sociopath is or what a psychopath is, or because I mean, these type of labels are, you know, textbook definitions, but they don't define a person themselves, and she might have sociopathic tendencies.
Well, people are not an answer in a book. People are a spectrum of different things. Like, it's not one thing fits this person. It's, you can use that to describe the person, but they're still a person. Right.
And I think that this is kind of challenging that idea that, okay, this sociopath is a scary person that has no ability to feel, when really she's the one who made the connections in this movie throughout the entire thing, where Lily, I don't see that she connected with anyone ever. She doesn't seem to really care about her mom all that much. She may have cared about her father before, but we don't know what happened there.
Right.
Her stepfather is a dick, but like he didn't do anything to deserve to be murdered.
He cut her off, but at the same time, she had done things to deserve it.
But that's also not something worth murdering. Like, you don't see him being abusive. You see him being a jerk, but like so is she. You don't you don't see anything that would be like, oh wow, yeah, like kill him. Like, there's nothing. You know, they could have painted him as an abusive guy towards her mother, where she felt the need to protect him. They didn't do that. They made it very.
Well, I think they did that intentionally so that she doesn't have a good reason for wanting him dead, other than being personally vindictive.
Right. She just seemed like a spoiled brat who wanted everything she wanted, and if she wasn't going to get it, she was going to take it.
Exactly.
And they also painted that family in such a funny light, because I mean, the type of house, for one, was this palatial, like ridiculous, over the top place.
Well, it was like that old Europe style manor house where everything is ornate and there's marble everywhere, and it's really the I can't come up with the French palace, Versailles style house, where everything is just over the top.
Right, but that's the type of rich person that you love to hate type thing. It's
yes,
not...
very much. I love to hate that person.
Well, but I think they did that purposely. But they also showed the mother. They showed her a few times, but like the main time that they showed her was when she was in that tanning bed, and it literally looked like a coffin. Right. Like the way she was just laying, the way that it was down in the basement in the dark. Like, I think they purposely did that.
I mean, there was that scene where she was like, "He likes some color in me," and it's just she's doing this because the husband wants it. She doesn't actually want to do it for tanning and all that stuff. So,
but it's also very clear that the mother is using him for money.
Well, right.
They're in that relationship for the money. It's not a love relationship. They're there because they need money.
Right. I don't know what he does, because did he ever go to like work or?
I got the vibe he was like some kind of a consultant or something like that.
I want to do that because that was some serious money, and it didn't look like he went to work.
I mean, I don't think this played out over many days, but one of the things I did want to talk about was Amanda's obsession with Steve Jobs.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
It was weird, and I was trying to figure out if there was like a reason behind that, because it seemed strange that she would have such an obsession with some business mogul. Like, what connection could there possibly be?
Did you find anything when you did the research? Because I know you went down 6 different rabbit holes.
I mean, I found an article in the Washington Post talking about it, and it just says, I think Jobs is an interesting, complicated role model for Amanda to idolize, but I think there's maybe a bit of Jobs in both of them. My feelings about Jobs are exactly the sort of complicated, contradictory ones that I was trying to explore in the movie. This is obviously the director talking. Steve Jobs is a person whose gifts in the world I am personally relying upon. He has an incredible, almost infinite effect on my life, but I also fear so much of his effect on the global economy. So a lot of this article and a lot of the other things that I've seen with the director, he's saying how this is a commentary on class system.
Fair. I mean, they do treat the drug dealer terribly. I mean, he's a scumbag. He's a drug dealer peddling drugs to children, but they treat him like crap the whole movie.
Right.
Like, I couldn't help but feel bad for him, and he's a drug dealer.
Right. I mean, so he was the voice of reason when it came to all this, but it felt to me like the obsession with Steve Jobs was the reason why Amanda wanted a relationship with Lily, because she saw Lily as a way to have those things that Steve Jobs kind of promulgated. And I feel like that influence on Amanda was what her ultimate downfall was, because she had no emotions and she whatever, but she wasn't going to do anything that would have put her into jail, which ended up happening. So I feel like that obsession...
Well, except killing our horse, because she was on trial for animal cruelty.
But she wasn't going to go to jail like she did for this.
No.
So I feel like that obsession with wanting that type of lifestyle and wanting that, I don't know, like ability to have that opportunity is what brought her down. And I felt like that's why they put the obsession with Steve Jobs, as it's something motivational and inspiring. It's also something corrupting and, not great. But going back to the drug dealer, since you changed topics midway.
Yes, I do that.
Yes, you do. I felt like he was kind of like the voice of reason. He was the one that came in and he was like, guys, like, you're gonna kill him. Why? Like, what's your plan? And like, how is this gonna play out? Like, he was very like, yeah, I'm a badass drug dealer, but like, I'm not just going around shooting people. Like,
He wasn't a badass drug. He was all talk, is what it turned out to be.
I don't necessarily think that's true. I think he really did have the desire to be a businessman, and this was what he saw as his way to do that, because he was obviously not well off, and he didn't really feel like he had a lot of opportunities, so he turned to doing this. I don't think his desire or passion was to be a criminal. I think it's just that was what the opportunity was, and he wanted to make money and do it on his own.
Right.
But he obviously was much more sane and logical than they were.
Well, he's a person, not a monster.
I feel like it's hard to say that Amanda's a monster.
I mean, they're both monsters. She's lawful evil, or like, so she...
I know what they mean, thank you.
She's not a good person because she doesn't have the ability to connect emotionally, and so she's capable of anything.
Does that mean you're not a good person because you don't have the emotional ability to
connect? I don't know.
Connect?
That's an interesting question. I know that she is capable of murder. Like, if she doesn't connect with people, she could certainly kill them.
I feel like that's a stretch. You don't know that. You don't know if she has the capacity to kill. She might have the ability to disconnect, but it doesn't mean she has the capacity to kill.
Well, she was talking about killing the stepfather for the right reasons.
No, she was being pragmatic. She was saying, if I were to do this, these are the steps that I would take. She was disconnected, and she didn't have feelings where she'd be like, oh, no, that's wrong. You shouldn't do that. She was disconnected, but she didn't say she would do it. Actually, when asked, Lily said, how would you do it? And she said, well, I wouldn't do it. Isn't that what I'm supposed to say?
Well, right. Isn't that what I'm supposed to say in terms of that's the normal answer? I'm not going to kill someone, is the normal teen.
But I really believe if Lily didn't push it, she would have never pushed the issue. She would have probably never killed anyone.
No, she didn't actually kill anyone.
No. So I don't know that she's a monster. She took the fall willingly. She was told the plan.
You're making a good case. Damn it.
I know, I'm really good at this. But she was told the plan. She drank the drugs, knowing that she was going to be framed if she did that. And she did it to save her friend.
Well, it's not even saving her friend. Her friend is just a spoiled rich girl.
No, but it's saving her friend from having to go to jail.
Right. I guess.
And she's living her life out in jail and has not spoken out against her.
No. That's fair. That's
loyalty. I wouldn't do that.
Oh, hell no. I'm like, yeah, I was drugged. I was unconscious the whole time. That bitch did it.
Right. So,
First off, I'm not drinking the drugs after she tells her that it's drugged.
Well, I think to her it was...
Goodbye.
I think to her it was... Well, one, I think she didn't think she would go through with it because Lily had proven indecisive most of the movie.
I think she was intending it to call her bluff. Be like, I'm going to do it. You ain't.
I think that, and I also think that she truly cared about her and felt that she was already on trial for the horse thing, and she had less of a life to give up because she felt that what Lily had was what she wanted, and she doesn't have that. So, I don't know. That's how I felt about it.
It was a very interesting movie the whole way through. It made you think more than the average movie.
Right. I mean, but one of the actors did pass away.
Yes.
Before the movie even came out.
Yes, Anton Yelchin, who is the drug dealer, and he's also in Star Trek and a bunch of other movies. He tragically died in a car accident in his driveway.
Now, I was reading about the car accident, and it sounded like, is that the same recall that like became this big news story a few years back?
Well, I think that's part of why they had the massive recall, because he had his car supposedly in park in his driveway, and then it rolled down the hill because it was apparently not in park, or it was a faulty...
neutral or something, they said?
Something like that, and then it crushed him against the fence.
Yeah, it was terrible what it said. But it said that when they first went to sue, the dealership said that it was his fault and they were blaming him. But then there was a recall on the part and all of that, so obviously they made headway. But I remember reading about a recall for this, and I just didn't know it was spawned by this. So I'm confused as to why this wasn't a bigger story, because he's the Hollywood actor.
Well, I honestly don't have an answer other than it's because the car wasn't in park when he went behind it.
But it was a recall, so it was like the car didn't stay in park or something.
Or it looked like it was in park when it wasn't actually in park. Right. I guess is the
right.
So I don't have an answer. I mean, that's not great. I mean, I know my car had a recall not too long ago for the airbags killing people and sending shrapnel into your face.
It's just so sad, like just freak accidents like that. It's awful. So he died, I think they said 2016.
Yes. And
this movie didn't come out until end of 2017? I
think so, yeah. This is his last movie.
Yeah, so this movie took a while to come out. And, I mean, it's sad that he didn't get to see how it came out. Because, I mean, he looked like an amazing person in this movie. Like,
Yeah,
they painted him in a great light. And it's just really sad.
For a drug dealer, he was the best drug dealer I think I've seen. Like, the most likable drug dealer criminal I think I've seen in a long time in a movie.
Right. So, I mean, it's just very sad. Hollywood actors, it seems we're losing so many of them so young, and it's just sad how it happens.
Yeah, and, I mean, he's very talented. I've seen him in a bunch of things.
He looks really familiar. He actually also looks like the director, but, I mean, that's neither here nor there.
Well, Star Trek. You've seen all the new Star Treks.
But he looks like something else, too, and I can't place it. Which, by the way, we didn't mention what the actresses were also in, which was Amanda, I've seen in Bates Motel. You said you've seen...
Well, she's in Ready Player One when I looked at the
okay, well, I haven't seen Ready Player One.
Me neither. I want to see it. I've read the book.
Okay, and then Lily, I recognize her from Split, but they also mentioned she was in Scream Queens, which I don't place her in that, so I'm not sure what she's in Scream Queens.
I've never seen either, so I have no idea.
Okay, but I definitely recognize her from Split, because once I read that she was in that, I was like, oh, right, okay, I got it. So,
well, I've seen her in the trailer for Split, but I haven't actually seen her in anything that I remember.
Right. Well, you need to watch Split.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Add it to the list.
Yeah, and it was funny because Amanda was talking about her role in Olivia Cook was talking about her role, and she said that she is Amanda. Like, that's how she acts. And her mom was like, oh, hey, you just played yourself. So I found that really funny.
Interesting. So she's emotionless and withdrawn and just doesn't connect to people, but she can fake it?
I don't have an answer for you. I just know that was what they're talking about in the interview. Anyway, so is there anything else you wanted to bring up about the movie?
Well, I found a couple random facts. So it was...
You love random facts.
Yes, I know. I especially do, because it's the trivia side of me. So the movie is supposed to take place in Connecticut. I would imagine Westchester, which is like the richest area of Connecticut.
Oh, yeah.
But it's actually filmed in Mass for the majority of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How do we find out these movies filmed in Mass?
I don't know. Wellesley, I think Tewksbury.
Oh, so the rich parts of Mass.
Yeah, right. So all of the Scituate.
Now I want to go stake out, like, where?
Well, the house in Wellesley? Mm-hmm. It's probably some stupid hedge fund manager's house from Boston.
I want to go find it. I did read that the director said that part of the reason he said it in Connecticut is because he looked around there and it was just like all of the rich hoity-toity people. He just wanted to like hate them. It was just, which is funny to me because I don't picture Connecticut that way at all. Like I picture it small town, picturesque Connecticut, not
well. There's
the rich.
two parts to Connecticut. It's the part towards New York. It's all the people that get out of the city and then have money from the city. So they're the people that have multi-million-dollar homes that work in New York and they just don't want to live in the city. So they pay an ungodly amount to live elsewhere.
Right. No, that makes sense. It's just not what I picture when I think of Connecticut.
I mean, the hotel that you love from Washington Depot offers a helicopter service.
True. Fair. But I wouldn't say that town is a hoity-toity town.
No, it's a middle of nowhere, dead cell phone reception, black hole
right,
for technology.
It's just funny because I think because we're from Massachusetts, to us, we see the picturesque, like, small town side of Connecticut because we also have a hoity-toity side of Massachusetts. We definitely do.
Right, so the Connecticut side that we have is the rural side that's in the middle of nowhere. There's no jobs, there's no industry, there's no anything, really. Right.
So we need to go into, like, Hartford or something and see.
Well, yeah, you have to go past that towards New York to get to...
Yeah, nobody's got time for that. It's too far.
Well, yeah, it's a long-ass drive. Right. What else did I see? It was very well regarded from Rotten Tomatoes.
Really? What was the score? I didn't actually look that up.
87.
It's pretty good.
A 69% audience score.
I mean...
Which I think people are misinterpreting this movie. I think because I was on edge for the whole movie, I realized that was a conscious thing. But I don't know if everyone necessarily got that because I don't think most people do the same level of research that we do for the podcast.
Probably not.
But
it was only in the theater apparently for a few days, which I thought was really sad. But I think part of it is the actresses, although great actresses, aren't super well known.
Right.
And the director is brand new. It's his directorial debut. So I think the names kind of didn't draw people in. And it also was like, when I heard it, Thoroughbreds is a horse. Right. And so I thought it was going to be like a riding movie until I heard, I think it's a podcast called We Look Shit Up, I think is the name of it. They did a episode on it, and I only listened to it like 6 or 7 months ago now. I don't even know how long ago. But, and now I like wanted to see the movie because I had no idea it was about what it was about. So I think partly that might be, although the trailer was amazing. Right. But I think partly just not understanding what the movie was actually about.
Right. I had one last thing, which is more amusing. Not amusing, but amusing. 2 words.
Amusing.
Amusing.
Got
a
it.
thought.
Got it. You spoke that way too fast.
I know. So, watching this movie and then doing the research, it just occurred to me, and I'm sure this is true for everyone, real world violence, even if it's just written down, is more impactful than movie violence. Even though we didn't see anything, it's an actual thing that happened, so it hits me more. Like I was reading the story about the car accident, I was like, oh my god, this is horrible. Where this movie, I was like, oh, she stabbed him, it's fine.
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of movies do that. This was based on a real story, even when it's not true, because it has more of a impact on you, because you're like, oh my god, like, that happened to a person. Like, that's worse. Like, if we saw a movie of, like, I mean, even of him getting
Texas
killed
Chainsaw Massacre. There's a place called Texas. There are things called chainsaws. That's how it's based on the true story, basically.
Well, right. But, I mean, when you know it's actually truly based on a true story, I know I even go in with a little bit more like, oh my god, like, I don't know if I want to know, because that could happen to me because it happened to you, kind of thing.
Well, right. It's more relatable. You understand that it actually happened. Like,
right.
This actor tragically did die because of an issue with an automobile. I mean, I don't know any of the details other than what was written down on the wiki page. There's no pictures or anything like that.
I don't want any.
No, thank God.
That's awful and disrespectful to the family.
Well, right. But it's still... hits you harder than her walking down the stairs covered in blood.
Right,
and I fictional blood.
Also, the characters in this movie are more, I don't want to say archetypes, but you look at them as more case studies than as people, because you're kind of like, okay, like I want to understand, like,
well, it fits more with this being originally written for a play, where their characters, their specific roles that they are playing, and you don't have the same level of depth for a play that you do with other things.
Correct. And I think I like that better because it plays with your emotions better.
Right.
But anyway, we are running well over that we're supposed to.
Yes.
So did you want to give a review of overall in the movie?
I will give it a 7.75.
7.75. I will give it an 8.5 because I really liked the way it was shot, and I liked the musical score, and I loved like the whole psychoanalysis thing. Like I'm all into that.
Yes, of course you are.
But I just wish there was more background. I always say that in movies. I just want to know more about like
exposition,
why, what
people. Exposition. Explain what's going on in the background.
I don't know why. I just always need to know more. But that's the only like thing I would say about it. So what are we doing next week? Because I think you're switching it up.
There's controversy over what we're doing next week. I was originally going to be one movie, and now I'm thinking about switching it. So the big reveal. It is going to be the new remastered The Magnificent Seven.
Why was that so hard to get out?
I don't know. The Magnificent Seven with Denzel Washington, Chris Pratt, the remake. I'm interested to see it. I've never seen the newer version. I've seen the original.
I haven't seen either, of course. So it should be interesting to watch.
It'll be interesting.
All right. So I guess that's it. We do have a new video up that went up on Monday. It was unboxing from Arcade Castle. So please check that out. And they do have a giveaway going on right now that includes our podcast. So also check that out. It's been retweeted on my Twitter. And we should have a new video out this Friday as well. So please check them out.
Fingers crossed, although we say that every time.
We do say that every time. Technical difficulties. But
thanks to Jake
at Athos Music for our intro and outro music. And thank you again for listening.
All right.